$110 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia. $110 billion. This was all right around the same time that the Saudi government brutally murdered and dismembered American journalist Jamal Khashoggi. And a lot of people, including even Republicans, did not want Trump to reward Saudi Arabia with this big arms deal. But the Trump administration went forward with it anyway, claiming the deal would potentially support tens of thousands of new jobs in the United States. And I will tell you, the phrase potentially supporting was doing a whole lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Because Trump boasted about this deal repeatedly. And every time he did, the numbers kept changing. Do you see a pattern here? I mean, they changed a lot in this case. Watch this.
We're talking about over 40,000 jobs in the United States. It's 450,000 jobs.
Who are we hurting? It's 500,000 jobs, $110 billion worth of work, which means 600,000 jobs. You're talking about over 1 million jobs.
I mean, from 40,000 jobs to over 1 million jobs. That was in the span of just 7 months, by the way, all those clips. Now, in the end, Saudi Arabia didn't even purchase the whole $110 billion worth of weapons that Trump announced in the first place. In fact, they actually spent less money on American goods and services than they did during Barack Obama's second term. It was all kind of a big shell game. And that appears to be exactly what we're seeing this time around as well. I mean, by now you have definitely heard that one of Trump's biggest agenda items on this Middle East trip is to accept a big $400 million luxury plane as a gift from the nation of Qatar. He wants the plane to become the new Air Force One, but only for the duration of his presidency, after which ownership of the plane would be transferred to Trump's presidential library. How convenient is all of that? Now, the whole thing is obviously super shady. We're going to talk to a bunch of people about it tonight. And even a lot of conservatives don't want Trump to accept this plane. But Trump says it's too good a deal to pass up. In a post on his social media site, he called the new plane a gift free of charge, in all caps internet shouting style, which is definitely not true either. I mean, look at this reporting from Politico. They say a private contractor would have to rip the jet apart to turn it into a flying White House for the president with secure communications and classified upgrades. That is certainly what is on Air Force One, an expensive and complicated prospect that could cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. Add to that the significant cost of sweeping the aircraft for software modifications or embedded foreign tech. So Trump's big free of charge gift plane looks a lot more expensive when you factor all that in. And bear in mind the US government is already spending billions of dollars on building 2 new Air Force One planes right here in the US, made by an American company. But Trump doesn't care about these costs for the American taxpayer. Obviously he doesn't. What he really cares about is his new palace in the sky. And of course, big checks for his billionaire buddies.
As you know, we have the biggest business leaders in the world here, and they're going to walk away with a lot of checks.
I mean, he doesn't even hide it sometimes. They're going to walk away with a lot of checks. That's what the billionaires are getting out of this trip. The question is, I mean, he's there as the US American president. What are the American people getting out of this trip? Because if this trip won't actually create 1 million American jobs, which it clearly won't, if the $400 million plane could actually cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars, if all of Trump's stated reasons for making this trip his first big trip abroad, if all of those stated reasons aren't really standing up even to the slightest bit of scrutiny, I mean, I've just like scratched the surface here, then why is Trump really there? Well, for the same reason all those billionaires are there. Lots and lots of money. Not for the American taxpayer, but for Trump and his family directly. And remember, none of this is exactly new. I mean, do you remember how universally Trump was shunned after January 6th? Banks cut ties with Trump, social media companies kicked him off their platforms, just to name a few companies. AT&T, Amazon, Best Buy, Marriott, Walmart, Airbnb, Disney, American Airlines, UPS, General Motors, Coca-Cola. The list of companies could go on and on that actively distanced themselves from Trump after January 6th. And there was one type of company, though, that shunned Trump in a way that really, really stunned him. The Professional Golfers Association, the PGA. They cut ties with Trump. Remember this? The league canceled their championship at Trump's Bedminster Golf Club. Across the pond in England, their professional golf league dropped Trump as a potential host for their championship, which for the owner of a golf-centered real estate empire was a pretty big blow. Now, at the time, Trump owned 17 golf courses around the world, some of them reportedly charging 6 figures just for the honor of being initiated as a member. And while some of the price tag there came from people trying to gain access to the president, remember in January of 2021, gaining access to Trump wasn't exactly a hot ticket. But right now, as Trump's golf empire was losing, but right as it was losing its biggest draws, an entirely new league filled the void. This is Live Golf. When it launched in 2021, its slogan was golf but louder, which seems like who made that up in a room, I don't know, but that was its slogan. And while the PGA and the British League R&A were cutting ties with Trump, Live Golf was making lots of deals. They hosted a tournament at Trump's Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, and another at Trump's Golf Club in Doral, Florida. The league used hundreds of millions of dollars to attract golf's top athletes and make those tournaments at Trump properties actually matter to sports fans. So who exactly was behind this brand new golf league that was saving Trump's golf empire and probably his ego? Well, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. Now, if you're wondering where you remember the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund from, you may be thinking of when that same fund gave Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner's venture capital firm a cool $2 billion, just 6 months after Kushner himself left the White House. Nice work if you can get it, I guess.